Hey, you want to check out what's happening in alternative porn in France? Let me introduce you to Carré Rose Films. Founded by Carmina, a French-Mexican performer and longtime advocate for sex worker rights. This indie studio is doing things differently, putting performers first, pushing for diversity, and tackling industry issues head on, all of which keep all while keeping things hot and fun. One example, check out this series, 60 Minutes with. Carmina meets a fellow performer for 1 hour. No script, no plan, just sees where the moment takes them, and you get to be right there with them. Don't worry about whether you speak French or not. All films are either in English or subtitled, so you won't miss a thing. Curious? Head to carrierosefilms.com. That's Carrie rosefilms.com. Cams.com is a performer-run webcam studio working with models who want to make serious bank doing online sex work. Top Treasure Cams models are earning 100K plus a year, taking home weekly fat paychecks. We have a great affiliate program to reward you for any traffic you bring to the site. We help you set up with equipment, tech, sales techniques, monthly meetings, and so much more. Visit treasurecams.com to learn more about us and to cam with us. Have you ever been looking for an amazing queer cam performer? Well, I got you covered. You should check out TS Cami. Her super hot content is on Chatterbait, Twitter, Xhamster, and Reddit. Support this rad trans femme. Enter your fantasies. Big Fantasy is a porn star, stripper, femdom, and expert making your fantasies come true. Explore Fig's secret, luxurious world at AQUATAFANA collective.net and at Figs Fantasies on OnlyFans and Figs Fantasy on Instagram. She's waiting for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. I'm Chelsea Poe, and today my guest is Sloan Rapture. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Chelsea. I'm excited to talk to you today.
I'm so excited to talk to you too. I feel like we've been on each other's radar forever, in like the alt porn girl world, making weird shit.
Yeah, it's got to be a going on a solid decade that at least I've known of you.
I feel like likewise. So I can't remember, were we both God's girls or were you a suicide girl at one point or
No,
really?
I missed that entire wave. Um, when I started, yeah, no, that was never really the angle for me. And I think Suicide Girls always felt a little too PG-13. I feel much more NC-17.
I feel like you're very God's girl coded. Like, even though you're
I
not, I'm
I didn't even
like,
know they existed like when I started, and then I think God's Girls was done by the
mm-hmm.
time. Um, and yeah, I never really thought of myself as a model like that. I just kind of jumped into camming because it was explicit and much more, free flowing. So never none of that. No, not even Tumblr.
So
I didn't have a naked Tumblr presence.
wait,
Nothing.
really?
No,
You, I feel like you scream Tumblr presence,
I
fellow
missed.
God's girl.
I
Like
was too
that's the
young.
wow.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Um. I am 29 in June.
Okay, that's amazing. Still enjoying your
Yeah.
20s. So
No,
you said you started camming. Are you you're in Quebec now, right?
yes.
Are
Yes.
you
I'm Ontarian.
okay? I'm from Michigan, so
Oh, so you're
right next
close
to,
enough.
yeah, that was like all my family vacations growing up was driving through Ontario. So
It's cute. It's fine.
it's the same as Michigan. I'm just like,
Yeah.
do you mind saying where in Ontario you're from, or do you keep
Uh,
that?
the southern part,
Okay.
the dirty south. The dirty
The
south
part that literally
Ontario.
touches Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really like where I've been. I used to go like drive through. I used to Greyhound through. Michigan and Detroit and Kalamazoo and spent a lot of time in Illinois for a bit there.
Okay. Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
chunk of my life.
I'm originally from Grand Rapids and Holland, Michigan.
Okay. I feel like
So,
that's
yeah, it's like an
somewhere I
hour
would
from
have been
Kalamazoo.
through
Yeah,
on
yeah,
a
totally.
Greyhound. Um, yeah, I've been in Quebec since I started camming proper. I moved here to do that,
Oh,
actually.
cool.
I I really took the time. Like I knew I wanted to do this.
Hmm.
I because I was on Tumblr, but not of the Tumblr world like that, and just kind of the way that like my little worldview and philosophy has evolved. I wanted to be somewhere where I could like do my slutty little explicit art thing, and I don't. At the time, there was nowhere else in Canada that made sense for it. So, we're in Quebec. Je peux parler en français quand je dois.
I know going into this, I'm like, are you have a Quebecois accent? I'm like, what are we going into here?
All I said was I can speak French when I need to.
That's great.
Yeah.
I feel like Montreal also like had such an appeal to me because I was always like, wait, you're telling me there's a city that speaks a different language like 8 hours away from where I'm from?
Yeah,
It
it's
like feels a
true.
little bit magical.
I feel like there's a lot of I hear about French Canadians being down in Michigan, Detroit. Like, I've got a friend from Detroit who's like, "Yeah, my French Canadian neighbor," and he tries to mimic the accent. I'm like, "You're close, close, but no cigar."
We're so close to being Canadian. Like I have a go-to Tim Hortons order, even though I grew up in the States. It's crazy. And like growing up at like hockey rinks and shit, it's just like how it is
How much more
there.
Canuck can it get? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What is your go-to Tim Hortons order?
I always do the ice cap, usually the French vanilla one or hazelnut one. And then you do
Oh,
the Timbits, and the best Timbits are the cherry ones.
the cherry
Yeah,
ones.
they'll have like slightly pink with like little cherry bits in it. I wonder if they still do. That used to be my go-to. How about you? I know you have to have one if you're Canadian.
I am I like a bagel du fromage with just your general veggies on it.
Hmm.
And I'm an iced coffee girl. I'm an iced coffee with a vanilla shot kind of gal.
Yeah.
And I like honey dipped Timbits actually.
Ooh, those are good.
Yeah, I feel like I could while out. I grew up on the Boston creams. That was kind of where my heart was. And now I'm just happy with the honey dip.
Do you have the Canadian maple before? That one's really good too.
Canadian maple is really good. Not deny.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is so specifically a conversation that it's like if you grew up within like an hour or two of Canada, you have
yeah.
this life experience.
Although in Montreal, I started finding that like Tim Hortons is really novel to me now. Like now I really want it because there's not a lot of them kicking around here.
Really?
We got so many cutesy little cafes. Um, there's more second cups around, and I like second cup. I prefer it to Tim Hortons at this point, actually. Not even for coffee, just for like all their other little fruity drinks. But there's just not a lot of Tim Hortons around. So now when I'm back in Ontario, I'm like, we're going, we're getting some sugar coffee.
Yeah, that's like one of my first stops whenever I go back home. Or if I ever have a layover in a Canadian airport, it's like this is gonna be the first stop. So, how old were you when you moved to Montreal to like get into camming?
20, like
20, okay.
freshly 20. Yeah. And I'd spent the year before that, I was in Ottawa, so it wasn't like a big
Okay.
jump.
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa's like it's such a weird city. Like I feel like it's so boring, but also it's so bilingual and it's like the most crazy version of bilingual because you go everywhere and everyone greets you in both.
My Ottawa was experience is really hermited actually. I like moved there at the tail end of high school, like grade 12.
Hmm.
Pas bon, not good. I'm like everybody's already got their cliques. I'd gone from like an arts school to a jock school. I was a theater kid now learning the same stuff I'd learned in middle school. I was not impressed, didn't really take to it very well. So my Ottawa experience was very sullen, and I like twiddled my thumbs and waited out my 3 years. And at the tail end, I started working in a sex store. um, which was great. It was lovely. The place is kind of dinky, but I worked alone and I got to have really, really wonderful conversations with clients. And while I was working there, I was like following and reading up on cam girls on Twitter, and I
Hmm.
would uh reading Ashley T's blog and anybody who had like an online resource thing at the time because there it wasn't like now.
Yeah,
I
everyone camps now. It's crazy.
One, everybody's got a guide of some
Hmm.
sort. I think I was on like ohcamgirl.net. That was probably my like go-to site. And I still have an iPhone note of like my jot note preparations from 2016 when I was like looking into it and really thinking about how I was going to go about it. So when people
Hmm.
ask me now about like how to cam or how anybody who's asked me ever, really, I'm just like, don't ask me because I went into it like a bat out of hell. Like
I know. I'm like, I just got on and I'm like, oh my God, I made $20. That's amazing.
that was my I was like waiting for internet when I moved in here, and I tried one night on MFC. Um,
I
but
mean,
made
I
my
have my own
$20.
feelings on that site, but yeah.
Thanks, MFC, for all the free drinks I've managed to get from you through that one night that I cammed on your website. I've crashed some of your events. Thank you. But and then I waited 3 weeks for a check for that $20.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I like spent my time in Ottawa preparing and working in a sex store and incidentally cammed for the very first time on my 20th birthday, which happens to be on June 20th. So there was like a
Wow.
nice little, synchronicity in the air
That's
there.
crazy. We both started camming at 20.
You were like right into it, eh?
I feel like I should have gotten into it earlier. Like, I don't know. I have my own feelings. I'm like that year from graduating high school to getting into sex work, I'm like, I should have just done it instantly, you know?
Were you thinking about it?
I mean, I was like being slutty on cam already, so I was like, I probably should have. Like, I was recreationally slutty before professionally slutty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Feel that. Definitely feel that. Um, I think I could have. I was like living at home in the basement, you know. It wasn't a closed basement. I don't have an indoor voice. That is probably why I waited. But um my family knows what I do, at least on like my mom's side, and it's not like I haven't gone home and be like, I gotta make a cam quota. I'm camming from your bathtub, like
Yeah.
house, thank you. Like since then. So I could have. I probably could have. But it was nice to like be settled and like have my own space and get into it deliberately. Um, I look back now and I'm like, I was so constant with it. I'd like to be a little more constant again with it, but then your schedule just goes nuts when you cam that much. You're
Yeah,
like,
it's such a hard
life.
thing. Yeah, like even though camming you get so much physical safety, just like it's mentally so draining.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was at 20, not the most mentally stable. You
Nor
know?
was I.
Nor am I now, but I definitely fun fact, I only just started thinking of myself and like camming as a performer this past year. Like
Hmm.
I never thought of myself as a performer before, which I think is
How?
yeah. Um, because I approached it really stream of consciousness, just really free flowing, and I'm a bit of a ham anyways. So I guess when I like lean into performing, I just never really put one and two together. Very pardon for the cat. He's
Oh
sad.
no, that's terrific.
Yeah, I never really clued into the fact that I was performing because I just thought I was being very overtly honest.
But like I feel like that really comes across in all of your work and like all your photos too, because it's like I feel like there's like artistic BDSM that's like cheesy and like pretentious and shit. But then I see yours, I'm like, oh, you are genuinely enjoying what you're doing. Like you genuinely are doing this shit. And like for me, that's the like guiding light behind all my work. So seeing you do that, I'm like, yeah, this girl's doing the same shit. Like I see it, you know?
Thanks, Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like even having been like theater kid, wanted to be an actress. I think it's really funny now. I'm like a bad liar. I don't know if I'm a good actress. I just I show up and I will give you 120% of me. Um, and that just like comes out in my work how it does. But it is very important to me that like I've done scenes where I felt like I wasn't able to give 120% or I
Hmm.
wasn't really being masochized to a degree that I like felt worthy of filming. I was like, I'm not satisfied with this. So how are my viewers going to be satisfied with this? This is not like maybe that's the glutton in me, but yeah, I don't know, that like wanting to like really be honest about what I'm experiencing and what I want to show is has
Hmm.
always been important. But now I kind of do think of myself as a performer. So we've finally gotten there.
Yeah, you definitely are a performer. Yeah, like were you in like the BDSM community before shooting all this BDSM, or how did it kind of naturally happen? Also, like just your drive to be like, I'm gonna move a place, I'm gonna cam, I'm gonna do all this research. Like, that's really admirable. Most cam girls are like, oh yeah, I turn it on, I take shots, and that's like kind of it, you know?
I'm such a nerd about it. Gee, I've had some a photographer once tell me like, "What, you can't get off if the lighting's not right?" I'm like, "No, that's not it." But like, you know, um, uh, but I had like a long distance partner when I started camming.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like I knew I was interested in S&M um just from like my own little forays into the internet and I could kind of clock the masochist within myself. Um but like not having a partner that like I played with often or one who was like I'm sitting around and reading. I'm like, well, if I'm not doing it, I want to know about it. And having to go back and kind of teach that to somebody who isn't quite as like innately interested at least at the time. um no, I feel like I haven't practiced or actually been a part of the scene as much as I'd like to be even now because I'm just like I never know where to find like the kink people and the sadists and you want to beat me up like do I trust you? I don't know, like I need that
For
too.
real. Yeah, I feel
um
like that's like how porn can be a positive thing because you can like actually find professionals and shit. Where I feel like just finding people in real life and being like, oh yeah, I trust you in this extreme role. It's like, do you though?
Yeah, no, I don't trust a lot of people. Also, I don't want to be like topping from the bottom. Like, I like
Yeah.
that, but I don't want to have to tell you how to do it every time. I got enough control freak issues. Like, so I never really was a part of the kink scene before. Um, and then I just knew that like my interest had to like and why I studied and why I took the time to like learn about it. It's kind of because how we were talking about being recreationally
Yeah.
studied before you got into it. I was just fascinated by sex. Um, and from a sense of like being very, very sex negative as a child,
Mm.
um, for a myriad of reasons. And then kind of starting to change my views about it because I was like, wait a minute, I'm in middle school and I'm my poor boyfriend that I have. I've been dating air quotes, people. You can't see these
Yeah.
air quotes, for 5 weeks, and I won't kiss him because I'm afraid of being easy. Where does this anxiety come from? Why is this something that like
Hmm.
things around in my head? And my family's not necessarily sex negative. I have like a sex worker in my immediate family who I knew
Hmm.
about. Um, and I kind of looked down on her as a kid for being a stripper. Um, and that woman is like a very, very important element, like aspect of who I am.
For
and did a
sure.
lot for me growing up. And there kind of came a point where I started to like feel really sickened by the fact that I looked down on this woman who did like never hurt a fly, never did anything wrong,
Yeah.
only ever trying to provide for
Hmm.
family and people. And so I think I started to adopt this idea that like if I can be any part of helping people decondition that in their minds, um, and I have an easier time sharing my body than my thoughts a lot of the time, which is again ironic because I can, but I just kind of just riff on Cam.
Yeah.
We're riffing, we're not like getting into the like how like the real depths. So it's easy to share the body. And I was pretty pissed off once I like rubbed my eyes and like started to look at the world through like not such a sex negative like worldview. And I kind of just came to terms that like I wanted to do this. And if I was ever to leave this industry or work for another employer, I would never ever want to work under or for somebody who would look down on me for doing this work or being involved in caring about this industry.
Hmm.
So my heart's wrapped up in this shit.
Yeah, I feel like you have such like an intellectual way about all of this and not a pretentious way where someone's
Gemini
gonna
way, it's
like
gross. You don't think it's pretentious? I think it's
I don't
pretentious.
think it's pretentious. Because like it comes off so authentic that's not pretentious. I feel like the pretentious shit is like when people are so up in their own ass about being like, "Oh, well, this is my creative style and all this stuff." I feel like that yours is coming from such a really
Emo,
authentic place. It's
really
emo,
emo
but like
face.
also like that you have such like an analytical brain that you're just like, well, I was very sex negative, so I wanted to address that. And that you're like talking about this when you're like a teen and like trying to understand that. I think so beyond most people's level, you know?
We had like a really, my city is like innately anti-slut and it's a pretty low income city. It's like it's one of those cities that has like a major like wealth discrepancy going on.
Yeah,
Not a lot of middle class, a lot of lower income people, and then some people from like a neighboring city who have a lot of money.
for sure.
Um, and I don't know, I was just always the only girl that would stay friends with the girls who lost their virginity at 14, 15 years old. And this is the era of Ask FM, so everybody knows each other's business and Formspring and all of that.
Yeah.
And people were ruthless, and I saw it happen over and over, and I was like, this is reprehensible. Like, I don't want to be a part of that.
It sounds like you grew up with a lot of like the same purity culture I grew up with in Michigan, where it's just like even if you're not religious, it's the entire culture around it, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's not like I've been to public schools. I wasn't raised with any religion, frankly. I went to Bible camp a couple of times. Thanks, neighbors.
It's very strange because like growing up in that part of I think Canada and the United States, like in the Midwest, there's just like such this ethic where even if you're not in Christian spaces, it's gonna be very Christian. You know, like I went to a public school, but like there were prayer circles at school and shit, you know? And that was just like part of it. There was like Christian groups at school. And it's just like I grew up in an atheist family. I'm Buddhist now, but it just like was so, if you weren't part of it, you felt still very influenced by it
Yeah.
and, kind of left out as well.
If you don't like challenge it too, it's so easy to just kind of like sponge up the ideas around you. And that's what I think a lot of people do with like their idea of sex work
Hmm.
and with the promiscuous people is they soak up all the negative that they see people projecting onto examples of promiscuous people or sex workers, and then they just regurgitate it and they don't question it. And I think even a lot of liberal people have a problem with that. Um, because again, I never should have looked down on like the woman who was stripping in my family.
Yeah,
And um, you like start to pick it up too more, I think, after you get into sex work. Kind of like when like you or somebody in your family gets a new car and all of a sudden you see that car everywhere on the
yeah.
road. You're like, oh, and, oh, we're out here. I never would have like clued or clocked or noticed all of the like horror elements of just media
For
everywhere.
sure.
everywhere and so casually. Um, and now I'm like the killjoy friend because you can't even put on like Norm Macdonald with me because I'm like, stop with all the dead hooker jokes.
That's also such a specific like Canadian Midwestern reference to like bring up
There's
Norm
such a good, I
Macdonald.
had all these, my friends, they all, whole room of people in my apartment, and
Yeah.
they're friends from, there's some of my friends from Rockford, Illinois, were
Oh,
over,
yeah, that's a very, yeah,
you
very
know,
similar place to where I grew up.
and some
I have
local
friends there,
Montreal
yeah.
people, and they want to watch Dirty Work, and I'm the only one not impressed because there are just so many comments. And then you try and start some other new TV show, and we're
Hmm.
dealing with another dead sex worker right at the beginning. And even just like I get a little touchy when I hear like even like my well-meaning like cis guy friends call themselves whores. I'm like, buddy,
Yeah.
buddy, you wouldn't
I'm
even look at another guy's dick for money. Like,
I'm really happy I taught my partner enough where when we start a show, if there's something sex work, anti-sex work, they're instantly like, no, this is fucked up. And they're like,
yeah,
can you believe that? I'm like, yeah, I can.
it's because you have to believe it. It's like
Hmm.
such a non-issue to so many people. Do you ever see that movie Bad Girls?
No.
It's like Drew Barrymore and it's a Disney movie and they're like Western sex working girls in a brothel. Um, and that movie is rated like PG-13, and that movie fucked me up. There's so many overt elements of like violence towards sex
Yeah.
workers that at the end of it, I'm like, this is just on Disney Channel PG-13. If it was even PG-13, you know, I'm like, this is overt violence towards women. Like,
Hmm.
it's not funny. I didn't find them like great costumes, but not a funny movie. Really, really sad movie. And
Yeah.
it's like that kind of casual attitude that we're up against, you know? And
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like in the peak of it right now. I feel like there's so much sex work depiction on camera now, you know, and like with the Nora winning at the Oscars, like that was a whole thing. Like I think it's really just like a weird place where it's like, wow, there's sex workers kind of everywhere now and are open and shit.
but like what's actually changing, you know? I feel like
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
be a stick in the mud for so long. Like even when that movie Cam came out, like the horror one, I was just like,
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
yeah, and that was like at another really rough peak. Like it coincided with um I think a lot of stuff to do with Backpage at that
Mm,
time. And I was a stick up in the mud. I was like, I don't want to watch your fictitious forays and glamorizations and, you know, your voyeur shit of sex workers when like sex workers still can't get rights, when that part's still actually going
for
back.
real.
And just because you can call your friend a whore and ha ha ha, and you love the working girls, doesn't mean you're actually doing anything to help them. And it doesn't actually mean that like sex workers' rights are moving as fast as they could be, you know, in a more positive direction. Like I think just last year, Canada went to court to try and argue whether or not like the Nordic model that we have is
Hmm.
unconstitutional. And I was in this venue with like Maggie's, the Toronto organization,
Hmm.
had like a viewing party, if you could call it that, where like other sex workers could come in and like hang out and watch these court proceedings. And I just watched as like anybody who was trying to argue that it is unconstitutional and that it is actually putting sex workers at risk. I watched as the judge sat there with his eyes closed, like eyes closed, head in his hand, like disengaged the
Yeah.
entire time. And from what I gather, he was like the we still have the Nordic model, you know? Um,
Yeah, it's I in
where
North
were all the civs
America,
that day? Where were
it's
all
just
the like, you
I
know?
feel like in North America it's just so far behind. I spend a lot of time in the Netherlands and Belgium, and there it's just like night and day, where it's like I was in
Tell me
Belgium
some
when they
lovely stories. Tell me about how
yeah.
different it is.
So,
Give me hope.
I had a friend who is a sex worker. They ran for parliament.
Wow.
Um, I shot them in a game in an orgy 2 months ago.
Sick.
Um, yeah, and they were like an open sex worker doing that. I also shot another sex worker in that same orgy who was on city council in a major Dutch city. So, like, it's very great there. In Belgium, another friend who was in the orgy I was in, shot directly before. They're super involved with Belgium. Not only do they have decrim there, they also now have full like sex workers get paid leave now and shit. There can
Beautiful.
no longer discriminate against sex workers in the Netherlands or Belgium financially anymore. And sex workers
Wow.
are don't have to pay the highest level taxes in the Netherlands like they used to. So
Whoa.
there's like a lot of really positive things going on in very specific places.
Is it?
In where I'm sure you know where Ann Arbor is in Michigan, right?
Yes, I know Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Yes.
That county also decriminalized sex work like a year and a half ago, super randomly.
I knew I had a good feeling about that place. Every time I went through, it's like I think I like it here,
It is that is the best city in Michigan. Like
It's really
100%. You
cute.
don't have to go anywhere else. That's the best city in Michigan.
I just hopped off the Greyhound and just like hung out. Dang. I
You
knew it.
definitely
I
should.
love when my intuition's right.
Yeah, you definitely should go to Ann Arbor. It's like a really nice mix of like a college town, a little bit of a city. You still get like the small town Midwestern charm. I think
Cool.
it's definitely like the best. But yeah, I don't know. I feel very discouraged about sex work here. Like going there is just such a different experience, and like having friends there who I have a friend who is in my BDSM collection a collective who just moved there, and they're like, "Oh, I can open a brothel here." And it's like that would be illegal for a sex worker to do in Nevada
Yep.
because sex
Even
workers can't own
Nevada, where
brothels.
people
Yeah.
think that it's all okay.
Yeah. And just like I'm dealing with massive payment processor shit with my website, trying to get it off an old platform. And like here, it's
Oh,
just been constant financial discrimination. And
yeah.
if I was in the Netherlands, it's like cool. Or like if you become a citizen there or try to get a passport or visa, you can just be like, yeah, I'm a sex worker. They don't care. There's like, as long as you pay your bills.
That
Like, like
would be
it's just
nice.
so, it's great.
It could
Um,
just be that easy. Because I mean, like, it's not like sex workers don't do so fucking much for the
I
economy.
pay,
Like,
especially like, obviously all sex work should be decriminalized, but
yes.
like, do you still cam often, I'm assuming?
Um, on off. I've been doing a lot more behind the camera stuff
Hmm.
lately. I want to do more internet. Um, so not as consistently as I was. I think, like I'd mentioned to you, like privately, I'm having like a little like creative existential crisis. Maybe it's the Saturn return. Maybe it's because I've been camming from the same place for like 9 years. I need to jazz it up a bit for myself because when I log on, it's great. I have a
Hmm.
wonderful time. I feel more adept at it now as well. Like I said,
Hmm.
I'm a performer now.
Yeah,
So
you definitely
I
are a performer
I
now.
have a different experience of it. I have a lot more fun. Um, but there's always, I think, with anything creative that I do, this need to challenge myself and push myself and do new things and try other things. And it got to a point with Cam, which might be because I'm relatively inconsistent. Sorry, every single lovely soul who has ever asked me for my schedule. I don't know. I wake up at 2 p.m. I am train on no tracks half the time. But I've always wanted to do like more elaborate cam shows or
Hmm.
cam shows that had more of a theme and more of a structure and that I could do frankly messier things with. And like I could lean into different conceptual stuff that was still horny and vulgar.
Yeah.
Um, but because I'm not consistent enough, I'm always afraid those shows are gonna flop and then I'm gonna prove myself right that like that's not what the people want. But I love camming and like live streaming and really what only the explicit websites give us the room to do, which is to like do an uncensored show and like or performance and um interact like people. I always put it with like Tinder too, where like I've made a lot of friends from dating apps. I've gotten a lot of photography jobs from dating apps.
I literally met my wife on Tinder. They were my second
Yeah,
Tinder
you're
day, and
right.
it just like it works sometimes.
But people just like I I I don't know if I just always need like some kind of argument, but I was just like, people reduce these sex oriented
Yeah.
spaces to like the most base shameful really
Yeah.
kind of concept of interacting with, you know, it is embarrassing to be on Tinder. It's embarrassing to be on a campsite. And like people have all
Yeah.
like sexual neuroses and shame, and it doesn't let anything be more, is what I find.
Yeah.
Because Tinder doesn't just have to be your hookup app, you know. I found all kinds of other connections because I'm the kind of person who's open to all the other connections. And with Cam, it doesn't just have to be like a wank your meat and run,
Yeah.
um, which like I have thoughts on as well. Why there's this like need to just like get your wank over with and then although I guess gooning's a thing now too. So maybe we're like the pendulum, it swings.
Yeah, I guess it's no.
Now we're just wanky, like jacking for hours, but
But like I feel
each
like
their own.
your view on sexuality is just like always like why can't it be deeper? Why can't we go on a more intellectual level? And I find that so interesting that you like want all these mediums that most people are like most cam girls are just like, yeah, it's camming. That's how I used to be. I'm a little bit better about it now.
You know how I am. Camming.
Yeah. But like that you want to have it be a creative outlet and like challenge people, I think that's just like so admirable.
It's like an intellectual thing, but there's a little bit of like an emotional, spiritual thing about it too. Um, the spiritual, I don't know, you can't put words to that, but like the emotional element is like I've like if I come too hard, I cry, you know?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'm afraid to come because I know I have not cried in a while. And being able to like be open with those emotions in those spaces um is a really wonderful example, I think, to be able to share. And I'm really, really fortunate. I don't know if it's just I'm not appealing to the kind of people who are just like ruthless online, or I have a wonderful following. I get such kindness and such patience and like I honestly I probably take it for granted a lot of time where like I'm not rude people come into my room and or if they're like demanding, I'm like, you want to see that for free? Yeah. And then I block them and then I do exactly what they asked me to do for free for everybody else in the room. And it's a little bit of a shtick.
That's so funny.
But I just like I like to be able to like, yeah, share myself in a way that like mirrors to other people that like I remind my camera I'm the one spread eagle probably being recorded by some asshole, like
Yeah.
you have nothing to lose saying hello and opening up to me a little bit because none of these guys care about you. Don't worry, you
Yeah,
know?
for real. I
But
think
yeah, I like it's not always an intellectual thing. It's just like more. I just want more from it.
just like I feel like you just want deeper out of what
Anything.
you're doing, and I feel like that's so cool because I feel like it's not in like a pretentious way where you're like, oh, this is vapid, where you're just like, no, this is a valid space and we can go deeper here. We can go deeper with sexuality. We can go deeper with camming. We can go deeper with performance. Like, I think that's so cool.
Part of it's just because I want to be more debaucherous. Like it all comes back to like wanting to be filthier and to explore really like I want deeper pleasure. I want deeper sensation within myself.
Yeah.
Um I want to explore novelty in these spaces in ways that like, you know, and I don't want to do that for a room that doesn't realize that like there's a beautiful give and take in these spaces. I like being in front of a camera. Um, I like fucking on camera. I like all of that.
Yeah.
But I really do love the like fact that my cam show can't go on without the people interacting with me, and I get a little bit of them, and then I give them a lot of me, and it blooms into the kind of evening that it becomes. Um, and I'm just like such a sap about it. I have some really good times.
That's really amazing. Like, I've been camming for, about the same length as you, and I've never really thought about it as this. So I feel like you're even challenging my own views of camming. Whereas, like, it is this interaction between you
Is
and
that
whoever is there, and it's like there can
pressuring?
be, you know,
You know?
real
Like there's
things.
some
And
stuff I wouldn't explore unless they brought it up. It's probably why I like got so into a lot of things.
so, like, speaking of that, like, you're obviously into really fucked up shit like I am. Like, what are things that you still want to do? Like, my biggest thing was I want you to do a public disgrace scene, and I did that like a year ago, and that was
Mhm.
like my number one thing. So much work, so much crazy shit.
And so now what?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you
Oh, I know
now.
you're asking. I
I
know
can
I
tell you
asked
I
that
don't
and I was
know.
like, oh, but you're asking me. I'm dodging the question.
Oh my
Um,
God.
because I feel like there's so much for me. Um, a lot of like the stuff I really, really want to explore has to do with bondage. Um,
Mhm.
I find lately I find more people to bind than vice versa. So I'm just like doing on everybody else when I want them to do to me.
Oh, I know that's how I top on cam. I'm like, okay, I'll just give you what I want someone to tell me to do.
Well, because you're not toppy, right?
No,
Innately? No,
no,
I feel
definitely
like I've
not.
read you talk about this, and I'm like, give her what she wants. Tell her what to
Yeah.
do.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, so like for you as like bottoming though, like what really speaks to you? Like, do you have some sort of crazy dream shoot if you had, let's say like 25K to shoot whatever you wanted?
I want to say it, but if anybody steals it from me, I'll kill them. Oh, I really want to shoot this thing. You ever seen Paprika?
No.
Oh, mm.
I need to watch more movie. I'm so bad at
Long live
it.
Satoshi Kon. He's like everybody's stolen from this man, and I want to too. Sorry, Satoshi Kon. Like Inception and like Requiem for a Dream. Go
Hmm.
look up the parallels. It's crazy, but he's got this scene. It's a movie about dreams. And it's animated, and there's this scene where you think it's reality, but it's not. And this man, and it's a fucked up scene. It's a fucked up scene, but I want to make something good with it, okay? Because this man has like trapped this woman like a butterfly to a table,
Yeah.
and she's like pinned down. Like, and I used to do that. I used to collect bugs with my Oma and iron them and pin them to boards. Sorry, bugs, but um, so I just see like somebody under this like wet sheet, like bound on like some kind of steel medical table.
Yeah.
And in the movie, this man like puts his hand through her and then tears up and like rips her open, and there's another woman within her.
Yes.
Beautiful. So I want to do the scene that has to do with like knife play and bondage and um consensually doing what you will with somebody who is pinned like a butterfly. And I see it being wet and steely and all kinds of other cinematic ways, but a lot of it like I don't know, the very first pardon my like ping pong brain, but the very, very first actual scene I did was with Four Chambers. Um,
I was just gonna ask him like, did you seem like
it's the
someone who
very
would be
first thing
perfect
I
for that.
did. They
Yeah,
were
that's
my
a hundred
like
percent,
thanks,
a
Fax.
million percent brand.
But like they were my like, oh, my goal. Like I'll get into the industry
Yeah.
and work my way up. I was a year in when I got to shoot with them. And then I was like, okay, well now what? But why did I bring back up? Why did I bring Four Chambers up? Oh, because when I shot with them, they were like, it was me and a partner of mine, and my partner wasn't a performer. They were just like willing.
Hmm.
And the Four Chambers was like, just do what you're comfortable with and we'll make something hot out of anything. So that's always lived in my brain of like, sure, there's these couple shots I see for the scene, and it has to do with like the scalpel element and like the bondage,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't really want to. tell people how to go beyond that. The rest is like kind of like how my camp shows go is I have my goals and I have my couple things I like, but then the rest is kind of up to you.
Kind of like
Um,
improv almost.
yeah, and I think that's how I think about like art that I make in general because I was a photographer before I got into camming.
Hmm.
Um, and when I think about it, I think about how it's kind of like a four-part conversation between like myself, my subject, um, the viewer, and what they project onto the image or whatever I've created, and also the fourth element being my subconscious, because I will pick up on things that like I didn't intend to do in post-processing and be like, oh, look at how all these things kind of came together and now they have this different meaning for me or it evolved a different way than like I intended. And that was great for my creative process and like not being so rigid about like I want it to look exactly like what it looks like in my
Hmm.
brain because I don't see it like I see it at like 40% in my brain, right?
Yeah.
So the rest is just like learning to be accepting of and happy with like what you get in the moment. And so that's how I like would want to do scenes and these like things that I want to do. It's like they're there, it's like the start of it, but the rest of it, however it goes.
I think you're gonna eventually do that. Like that feels like a thing you can do.
I hope so. I don't know. It's like there's a tug of war within me too. That's like I have these ideas and I'm like, do I want to film and direct them or do I want to like give up that control and let somebody else do it so that I can be in it, you know?
I mean, you can do both though. It's hard. Well, like not the filming part, but like I don't know. You can direct a lot of your own shit. You can just be like, "Hey, these are the exact kind of scenes I want to be in." And it's still like kind of directing.
Go Kubrick with it and be like, you're gonna do exactly that. Nah.
I mean,
Um, I don't know. I get too excited too. Me on a set, any set, is just like, haha, like I'm energized by people. Haha. Like I'm
I
so
love
happy to
that.
be here.
See, I'm still like, even if it's just like a one-on-one BDSM scene, I'm still like nervous going to set still, even though it's
That's
been
why I get
like,
excited.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
scared
just like,
shitless.
oh my God, I have to, like, being a sub helps though, because I'm like, Adam's just gonna tell me what to do. I don't have to
Mm,
think. So I'm like, that's easy. But
mm.
yeah, your creative process is just so interesting. And I just like, so cool that you have this process where you're like trying to go deeper and trying to get more out of these, just,
I just want to see new shit.
yeah.
Always stem from that. I just want to see something new. Show me something different. You know, spread a little wider, get a little filthier.
Yeah.
And
Do you like shooting the most in like Montreal, or do you usually do more stuff when you're traveling? Because personally I barely shoot in the Bay.
I definitely do a lot more shoots when I'm on the go.
Mm.
Um, that's why I'm braving your border in a couple days.
Best of luck with that. That shit sounds very, very stressful.
I've been doing it for long enough as like a liability. We do customs here in Montreal, and I'm not getting paid for anything. I'm just making stuff with people. How are
Yeah.
they like this is what gets me with the border, okay? As everybody turns freelance and everybody is some kind of an artist or this or that,
Hmm.
how do you pinpoint something that was made one place and then organized and turned into some kind of product or something purchasable somewhere else? How do you or how can they continue to think that they can put borders on creativity? That's what I like. It's just, it all falls apart in my brain, you know? I'm
I
like, you can't,
mean,
it's redundant. Stop trying to grasp at air and let people be fluid. I don't know. It's
also
just,
like that we both grew up so close to the border. Like growing up, you didn't need a passport, you didn't need shit. You could just go
no,
across. Was that not the same
I
for
never did that. I just
really?
did. No, when did I, first time I went to the States, I went to a warp tour at Darien Lake.
Okay. See, like my grandma would take me to Ontario like every fucking summer. It was like,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna go to Kingston. Okay, we're gonna go to Ottawa. Okay, we're going to Niagara Falls. We're going to
these are nice,
Toronto.
wholesome trips.
They are. So like that's how I have such a deep understanding of like Ontario's just extended Michigan to me,
It really,
where I'm
it
like,
really is.
we're the same.
And it just sort of should, it's just such a non-issue in my head, like I have people around me who don't really understand, and I don't get it. I don't understand them not understanding, but like I've always just kind of like I look at how Europe's got their like they have the EU
Hmm.
and your continents and like you're an entire continent. You're close to each other. Be chill about it. And we have no chill here in North America.
Yeah,
None.
now it's crazy because like,
I mean,
when
now
we were
that
growing up, there was like no beef between Canada, I think, ever with the United
no.
States, and now there's all this weird shit, and it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's gross. And then so nationalism here starts getting really weird too. Sorry, this isn't sexy. This isn't sex work fun, but it's relevant because like it's nerve-wracking to go over the border.
Yeah,
I know cam models who have been turned away. I know people who are just like I've seen stories of girls who were going to see their cam model friend and got turned away for whatever reason, like stuff like that. But like unfortunately, like Canada's really wide. Um,
very.
all the performers here are kind of just clumped around the main cities, and we've got Ontario doing their thing in Toronto, and then you've got Montreal and the performers here, but the scene here is I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what's going on here. We're not making as much porn as you think the porn capital of Canada would be
It's
making.
it's interesting though because you guys do have some people who are like notable from Montreal.
Oh, we do. Yes, we do. We do. We
Yeah,
do.
so it's like this weird thing where like I've had porn trips to Montreal that got canceled, and I was like, oh no, I wish I could have gone. Where you guys are like kind of a porn capital, but also not. I
It's
think it's
just
really
like
interesting.
it's the businesses. We have MindGeek and what was it? It's one of the I want clips for sale. I always mix them up. They're the
Minivids
same
was
thing in my brain.
there for a while, I think.
Many vids?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not making stuff here,
No, no, no.
And I know we have like a bump in like gay porn community, but like
And I
they
think
don't want
Ricky
me.
Greenwood, I think Ricky
Pardon?
Greenwood's from Montreal too.
Ricky Greenwood?
Yeah. Do you know who that is?
I know the name.
Yeah,
Does not
he
ring a
just
bell.
won Director of the Year at AVN, I think for like 2 or 3
Is,
years.
is he the one who does Parasited?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
ours. Oh,
I
I love the Parasited series so
Yeah,
much.
I've been on set with him. He has a very Quebecois accent, but also has Ottawa Senator tattoos. So I'm like, I don't know what part of you are because I'm like, if you're from Montreal, that would not be.
Plus, he's
So
just like a contrarian, like we got a lot of those running
see,
around.
being that close to Canada, I'm like, I know all the hockey rivalries and stuff. It's a whole thing.
Oh, that's all over my head. Like the sports,
Really?
I was a Sims girly. I was in my basement writing stories for The Sims as a child and not very athletically adept. I got into UFC this year. That's a thing.
Oh,
Like,
that's fun.
I'm pro violence, okay? I feel like this should not be a surprise
That's like
from.
probably my second or third sport because I dated a girl who did boxing and jiu-jitsu, and then they were like,
Bet
"Oh,
you
you
had
should
some
check
fun
this
with
out."
that.
Um,
But they're always like,
so
not sexual,
I
It's
mean,
not,
no,
it's
she
just.
like always wanted to wrestle and like would not go well for me.
Oh,
But she she was she's like a fashion model as well as does that. So we'll be like on
multitasking.
the street and there'll be like some drunk bro who's like saying sexist shit and she would just fight like dudes on the street and just like beat their ass. And I'm just like, what the fuck? How are you like high femme and like a fashion model and you're just like
I love it. I love
it
my
was a
partner's
thing.
convinced that like I do really, really good in BJJ because I got gams. These legs, oh,
Are you
and
mostly like
pardon?
into women's UFC or all
I
across the
really like
board?
the fighting nerds right now.
Okay.
I really like the fighting art nerds right now. I like Shaw Silva. I like that he cries so much.
Yeah, I mean he just beat Bryce Mitchell, right?
And it was beautiful. I was
Yeah,
like
that was
bouncing on my
good.
feet. And I liked it more because everybody thought it was going to be a knockout. And then he turns around and he gets him by submission. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
like somebody who won't let you pinpoint him, you know? And he's such a wife guy. Like,
I feel like the UFC is kind of like porn because like you can look at it from a distant view and be like,
I can
wow,
make
there's
an
a
equal
lot of fucked up
perspective.
people who run this
Hmm.
industry, such as Dana White, such
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
whatever bad porn guy you want to insert here. But
Hmm.
then there's all these people within that world where like there's people from all over the world who use it as their platform to get out of their situation. You
Yeah,
know, like Francis Ngannou was one of my favorite fighters. Um, oh, do
I'm
you?
still learning. I'm still learning.
Okay, so
Teach
like
me.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
um, so this guy, he's from Cameroon, grew up super poor, literally, like true like African poverty. Like he worked in sand mines growing up.
Uh,
And eventually, when he turned like 18 or something, he went all the way to Morocco through like hitchhiking, whatever way he could get
I
there,
can
right?
die.
And he was trying to get to Europe, right? Because he's like, this is it will be the opportunity to get my family out of poverty and shit.
Yeah.
He got caught 3 times trying to take a boat from Morocco to Spain, finally got through once, was in prison for a year because of getting caught at the border, but got released, lived in like a parking garage in France for like 6 months, got into a boxing gym and they're like, "Oh, you can make way more money doing MMA." And then he became the UFC champion, heavyweight champion. Then he stuck it to Dana White and he was like, I'll re-sign my contract if you give everyone health care and you make sure everyone makes a living wage. And Dana White's like, fuck you. So he said, oh, I'll just go to boxing. Then he fought the heavyweight champion boxer. Should have won the fight. He knocked the heavyweight champion of the world down in a fight. And now he went to a different organization, made sure every opponent he fights gets $2 million instead of like $200,000 that the UFC was offering. And like did this entire thing on his own.
See, that's the kind of I have goosebumps. This is the kind of testament to, and this is probably why I like want as much out of like sex work as I do, because
Yeah,
I'm a humanist. I have such faith in people.
same.
I love what we have the capacity for, and nothing makes me angrier than a structure of violence that tries to suggest that we aren't, that
Yeah.
we are not like one iota of who we are, what we could be. I'm gonna get real nerdy on you for a second.
No, I love this because like I think there's so many similarities between the narratives in sports and with
Well, because it's
sex
all body
work.
based, right?
Yeah.
And like also now we're looking at like, so you got sex and you got violence, which is like emblematic of like death, right? And there's
Yeah.
always this like weird tug of war between like the two, and there's a hypocrisy around like like mass like horrible violence being like something that we don't censor anywhere. I like joke, not joke, that like the deep web is now just the surface web. Like you don't
For
really
real.
gotta go anywhere to see the most horrendous shit. Whereas like sex is still so censored, something that people are still so,
Yeah, I mean
like,
that you can essentially watch a live genocide on Instagram, but if
yeah,
someone shows a nipple, the account
yeah.
gets suspended.
And it's so hypocritical. And so here you've got like UFC and you've got mixed
Hmm.
martial arts and you've got violence that's like acceptable, but that like part of what I like about the fighting art, there's a lot of integrity behind a lot of these artists. They
Hmm.
are physical artists, right?
Yeah.
And I like the ones that like we just that same 314 we just watched.
Hmm.
I think it was after Volk and Lopez, and like they beat the shit out of each other for 5 rounds and then they hug. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's my favorite part, you know? And somebody just looked at me like weird in the room because they were like, all that, and that's what you like. And I'm like, yeah, because like they respect each other, you know?
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be something that's so rare. Like with the Bryce Mitchell and like John Silva fight, like Silva was like, I like thought it was a bit. Like I thought he was being funny. There's something like not okay with that man because he wouldn't bump his fist
Yeah.
twice, you know? And if you are going to be like subjecting each other to that, you need to honor and respect your opponent the same way that like in sex work, and you need to have some like kind of awareness of the humanity of whoever you're working with, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's when it's a slippery slope, and that's when people get hurt because humans are not ornaments, they're not objects, they're not collateral. Like the same thing that like runs through me and makes me tingle runs through you, runs through some motherfucker I hate, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like the vulnerability that like draws people to watching us fuck them fight because it's like freeing and
It
it tickles something.
it's an innate like form of humanity where like no
Yeah.
matter what country it is, a fight or someone or a porn is going to translate. Like there's
Yeah.
no explainer needed.
Universal language.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me excited to see and excited to be involved in. And I'm a nerd about it and it is what it is. But I don't know. There's the more that I watch like UFC and the fights and the more I think about like sex work industry because I look at the entire world now through
Hmm.
sex work metaphors as well.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Um, because there's so much humanity that I witness here. That I beg and plead other people to see, you know. I've had a couple conversations even just like the past couple months with well-meaning liberal male friends,
Yeah.
well-meaning, well-educated. Sorry if you guys ever hear this. I'm gonna drag you on podcast now, but like we get into these conversations, and as soon as they start regurgitating some narrative I know is not true, I try and pop up and be like, actually, like that's not what you think it is. That's kind of reductive. This all ultimately harms the industry more than it helps it.
Hmm.
And they don't want to hear it. And they're like, they try and circle back to, I'm not trying to offend you. It's not about like da da da. They're like, I'm sorry I'm hurting you. And I'm like, I don't get mad for my own sake. I am I am mad and upset for everybody you're not considering when
Yeah.
you make these arguments, you know? Like it's not about me. Sex work isn't a monolith. It's about every other single person. And any way that we can make it safer for one of us helps make it a bit safer for somebody else.
But
Um,
I think this is all just like the
the other people.
humanistic. Like I feel the same way about stuff where I feel like it's so easy for people to make all these assumptions about people. And I think like particularly like especially in the States, like the whole liberal versus Republican thing, it just puts people in these two spaces and it doesn't allow any space to actually humanize each other. And it's just like such a thing I think is just so toxic where it's trying, especially online, to like win points in a game that doesn't actually exist,
Yeah.
and like win arguments and stuff. And it's just like it doesn't really mean anything. Like,
No.
I don't know. Genuinely feel like I do have hope in humanity.
Hmm. We like I feel like it's inevitable. On a bad day, I have to remind myself that like growth and evolution are inevitable. Like
Yeah.
progress and change does not stop. You can try, you can dig your feet in, you can make, you can spend your time on earth making as many other people that much more miserable, that much broker as you can, but things are gonna track on, you know? And how do you unlearn something once you learn it, you know? And there are so many people now who have so much more information, so much more access to wisdom and to the points of views of other people. Because
Hmm.
that's the thing, is like if we want to like actually like grow and like value, like have values of
Hmm.
truth and honesty and like respect for each other, you have to listen to other people. Um, and that's the only way that I know to like take in a bit more of the world because I don't know shit. This entire however long we've been talking, don't listen.
Yeah.
I don't know shit.
I feel like the more I travel, the less I understand about the world. Because you realize you're like, oh wow, there's cities everywhere. There's neighborhoods everywhere. Like there's people literally everywhere doing all sorts of things in their life. Even though I think most people generally have the same daily life as each other, no matter where they are over the world. Like there's just so many different varieties on this planet.
Yeah. And we need it all, you
For
know?
sure.
We just also can like do our little parts to be a little more open-minded. Do
Yeah.
our parts to just be like a little softer and easier on each other. I don't know. Just be a really confrontational person. I still kind of am, but like I don't like fighting. And
Yeah.
I never just want to like, I don't know. I don't want to negate anybody else's experience. And I know how hard it is to like change your worldview when you only are really going by what you've seen and what you've witnessed and what you've been
hmm
told. Um, but self-knowing is the most important thing that we can give ourselves.
I'm like I love how we both make like the craziest kind of porn and then at like the end of this conversation us being like, like we really need to respect humanity
Know
and like have hope
thyself.
in it. Like
Love each other.
as we're
Uh,
literally like being tortured and shit.
Come harder and
Yeah.
check each other's boundaries and don't be afraid of a little squirt, god damn it, in your mouth.
Yeah. So I have one final question for you. This has been such a great conversation and we've gone
That's
so
so
many
real.
places
Oh
and
my
it's been
God,
so fucking deep. I
sorry.
love it. No, this is literally amazing. Like I feel like this is like the deepest
This is why I
maybe
don't message you
conversation.
because I know that it's just gonna like I can't the text limits are just not enough for like the conversation
It's
I'd like to
really
have with
great. Feel
Kelsey.
free to
I'm
message
your
me
new reply girl
anytime.
then. You've
Yeah.
opened this for yourself.
Yeah. So, let's say you could wake up tomorrow and one thing in porn or sex work could magically be changed. What would you have it be?
Free and easier access to talent testing for all.
Yeah,
And even
that's
outside sex work, just
yeah,
give people the power to know themselves. God damn it.
I think it goes back to actually this goes back to UFC. So, like how they all have to get blood tested, right?
Yeah.
So that's also for like stuff like HIV or like sexually transmitted diseases or bloodborne diseases. And it's all just handled by each state. So like if there's a fight in Nevada, in Vegas, it's like the Nevada State Commission. So they control all of that. If we could
Yeah.
trust our governments and they could do it for free, especially in places where there's high levels of porn performers, like let's say they did California and Nevada, I
Yeah.
feel like that could work, but
I
also
just
I don't trust this government at all.
no, me neither. But like I do know that like as sex work gets more like accessible to or like more casual,
hmm
it like I've heard about like it being too expensive in the States for some people.
It's very
And
expensive.
um that shouldn't be the issue, Like we should be able to get like access to the healthcare and to like the tests and again to the knowledge that we need to be able to like operate safely. Because there's so many elements of this industry that don't need to be this way, and a lot of them have to do with the stigma around it,
hmm
paying for like we're paying for this being an industry that people saw as very seedy. So I think it's got some very seedy roots because only seedy
Yeah.
people want to go near it, right? For like a
But
good chunk of time. But like, how are we supposed to change if we can't get the resources we need and if they just keep pushing us out of their line of vision? Who does
I mean,
that, how does it, how does the industry change?
I feel like we're also in a very strange time. Like our visibility as being sex workers, you and myself, like 15 years ago, there wouldn't be a platform for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have a following. Like it's very strange, I feel like, to be in this highly visible version of sex work.
Yes. Ugh.
It's very
It's a whole
strange,
other, that's a whole other.
like that we're essentially influencers from doing porn is kind of weird.
It's really weird. That's why I'm no good at it anymore.
I always feel that like that when I go to Amsterdam because I'm Dutch American and I'm like, there's sex workers everywhere here. Why
Oh, God,
is
yeah.
my kind of sex work this weird thing where it's like red carpets and shit and like
Mhm.
award shows and conventions, you know? It's a little
Yeah.
bit weird.
I need to get to the EU. It's just like sim. I keep threatening. I'm like, I could get Croatian citizenship, and they're part of the EU now, and it's just kind
Oh,
of
are
this.
you?
I'm Croatian.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, thanks, Oma. Um, and they're part of the EU, and I want to go fuck in some abandoned castles. God damn it!
Yeah, you definitely need to represent Croatia. Like,
Well,
there's,
I just want to be naked on a rock by the Adriatic Sea. Really, I'll drive into wherever the fuck else to meet the other performers, but
yeah, Stoya's in Serbia now. It's all good.
no, like.
Yeah, that's really
Come
the,
on, Canada, convince me to stay, and I
I'm
don't
like,
get.
that's a North American sex work dream is to re-immigrate back to your or country of origin. I'm like, I want to live in Amsterdam so bad. Uh, so, where can everyone find you on all like the socials, websites?
You can usually find me anywhere that is spit on Sloan, whether that be a username, whether that be I have the domain. Maybe now that I'm saying this out loud, I'll get the website up. I also own chaoticslut.com. Maybe that'll be a
Love
link too.
that.
Um, yeah, spit on Sloan's usually the handle. I'm Sloan X Rapture on Instagram. I'm also Gorge Profund, which means deep throat on Instagram. Where the hell else am I? I'm on AP Clips. I'm not on ManyVids. ManyVids, send me another message. Maybe I'll come back to you.
I feel like they have to. You're local, they're local.
But they've sent me at least two since I deleted my account. Send me a third and fix your rates for withdrawals. God damn it.
Well,
Yes, I'm
well,
around. I'm always around. I'm never gone.
thank you so much for coming on. This has been such a great, deep conversation, and I can't wait to see what you continue making because, like, as I said earlier, your smut's so inspiring, and I'm like, I recognize it inside myself too, and yeah,
Thanks so much, Chelsea. Yeah, I'm feeling like the Energizer Bunny right now. This conversation's been really, really great. I like it a lot.
likewise. Well, bye everyone.
Bye
Thank you for
bye.
listening.